Barker Cast. Breaking news from the Reef.
Hi, this is Ryan Danhauser, and this just in from the Reef. Actually, some of these are kind of old stories. We haven't done this in a while, so buckle up. This news post was written by Rob Ridenauer, February 19th, 2019. Jason Blum on more Hellraiser films. Let's face it, the Hellraiser franchise is at a standstill. No one seems to want to invest big money in a new movie. I guess the franchise's themes of pleasure and pain are too much for some people to handle, but maybe not. It seems film producer Jason Blum is all on board to resurrect the franchise, according to recent comments he made in an interview with Cinema Blend, where he talks about reviving the Scream franchise as well. But before you get your hopes up, neither property seems to be moving forward anytime soon. Quote from Cinema Blend, "Yes, we definitely have discussed it. We're looking. There's nothing happening with either one of those things, but we're definitely looking at it, and it's definitely something I'd be open to. I have no doubt that a new Hellraiser movie will happen, but we're going to have to play the waiting game on this. I hope in the meantime that Blumhouse Productions gets in contact with Clive Barker so he'll be involved like they did with John Carpenter with the new Halloween movie. Hopefully that's in the game plan when a potential film moves forward. I'd also like to see a film that expands on the mythology instead of treading familiar ground like a remake would. There's so much potential for this franchise that goes beyond another solo Pinhead film. That's why I loved Hellraiser Judgment, because it tried to do that, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on a new Hellraiser film happening in the future? Sound off in the comments section. Thanks to Cinema Blend. This blog news story was written by Rob Ridenauer, February 22nd, 2019. Lussier and Farmers Hellraiser Treatments Reviewed. Back in 2011, director Patrick Lussier and writer Todd Farmer, the filmmakers behind My Bloody Valentine and Drive Angry, were hired by Dimension Films to come up with an idea for a Hellraiser reboot. Unfortunately, the project never went anywhere, like many other attempts by Dimension to get a remake off the ground. But I've always been curious about their version because I'm a big fan of their previous work. As time passed, I believed we'd never learn anything about the film they wanted to make. That's until today, when Bloody Disgusting columnist Brad Miska exclusively shared reviews for two treatments by Lussier and Farmer that revealed the direction they wanted to take the franchise. It was nice to learn that they were not only going to make a sequel to Barker's original film, but some of the other films in the franchise too. They also wanted to bring Doug Bradley back as Pinhead as well. After reading the review, I definitely found the first treatment to be more satisfying as a fan of the series. The overall story seemed to be in line with the themes of Hellraiser. I liked the way Pinhead was going to be used sparingly throughout the story, and I believe his main introduction would have been a shock for the audience. There were also new elements that I think would have worked in expanding the mythology of the franchise, especially the Toy Breakers, who are a secret group of devoted individuals who dedicate their lives to finding and destroying gateways to hell. They also introduced a group of new Cenobites called the Lowbites in a hospital scene that sounded pretty crazy. Finally, the ending took a turn that I didn't expect, and I think female fans of the franchise would have really loved it. The second treatment apparently was more teen-friendly, and it didn't sound as interesting either. It has a ridiculous opening scene on a plane that sounds like it belongs in a Final Destination movie more than a Hellraiser film. The only good thing I can say about this is that I like how they used Pinhead again, and the ending would have been a nice twist for the audience. To read the full reviews of the treatments, follow the link below. After so many years, I'm glad I've finally been able to get a glimpse into what Lussier and Farmer had in store for the franchise. While it's hard to say which version we would have been given, I think they really wanted to respect Clive Barker and the fan base. Thanks to Bloody Disgusting and Brad Miska. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenauer on February 26, 2019. No Tony Todd for Candyman spiritual sequel? It appears the filmmakers of the new Candyman spiritual sequel are going in a different direction when it comes to the casting of Daniel Robitaille, according to Variety actor Yahya Abdul Mateen II, who starred in the DC comic adaptation of Aquaman, is in talks to play in the new Candyman. To read the full report, click the link below. I'm really surprised that they aren't getting Tony Todd back for this, but at the same time I can see the reasoning behind it. There is a fresh take on the material, and sometimes you have to trust what the filmmakers are trying to do. I hope they're making the right decision. But for my money, Tony is the only person that can pull off both the tragic and terrifying qualities that are so important in bringing the character to life. I'll admit I've never seen any of Abdul Mateen's work, so I really don't know what to expect. I'll give him a fair chance, but Tony will always be the Candyman in my eyes. I'm sure this is going to get some mixed reactions from the fans, so let us know what you think in the comments section below. The new film is being produced by Jordan Peele, who co-wrote the script with Win Rosenfield. Nia DaCosta is providing directing duties. MGM plans on releasing the film on June 12, 2020. Thanks to Bloody Disgusting and Variety. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenhour on February 27, 2019. Tony Todd passes the torch to new Candyman. Yesterday, Variety reported that actor Yahya Abdul Mateen II was in talks to play the role of Daniel Robitaille, Aquaman, in the upcoming spiritual sequel that's being produced by Jordan Peele. Even though nothing has been officially confirmed, I'm pretty sure that this is the actor the filmmakers are going with. As I expected, it has generated a lot of mixed reactions from fans, including myself, but after reading a tweet by original Candyman star Tony Todd, where he seems to pass the torch on to Abdul Mateen, I believe I can look past my own personal biases on who should play the character and enjoy something new. Tony Todd said in his tweet, "Cheers to Candyman, a wonderful character I've lived with for 25 years. He's brought grace and glory and a beautiful boatload of friends and family. Team Toddsters, I'm honored that the spirit of Daniel Robitaille, Cabrini Green, rises again. Truth to power, blessings to the cast and crew." What a classy move on Tony Todd's part. I'm sure he'd love to play the character again, but instead of being bitter about it, he's decided to let go of the past and embrace the future. If he's willing to do it, I think we all can too. Besides, he'll always be the original Candyman. No one can take that away from him, and you never know, he might show up in a cameo in the new film. We shall see. While we're on the subject of Candyman, I also want to share one of the finished images from Danny Stewart's Bride of Candyman, a feature that we did on a blog a couple of months ago. I think the finished piece by artist Mad Matt Design turned out very nice. Thanks to Tony Todd and Danny Stewart. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenhour, February 27, 2019. Book of Monsters Blu-ray, pre-order up now. It's always good to keep up with Clive Barker alumni, and we wanted to let our listeners know that author and actor Nicholas Vince, Chatterer and Kinski, starred in a new horror comedy film that was released last year called Book of Monsters. Now the movie is coming out on Blu-ray March 19th through Epic Pictures, and the disc is filled with all sorts of cool special features. There's going to be a filmmaker and cast commentary tracks, making of documentary, deleted and alternate scenes, a gag reel, the Kickstarter concept film, and much, much more. Quote, after Sophie's 18th birthday party becomes a bloodbath when 6 terrifying monsters descend upon her house, intent on devouring the party guests, she must rally a band of misfits and take up arms to send their party crashers back to hell. The film looks like a real hoot, and I'm anxious to see it. It also seems to rely on practical effects instead of CGI, judging from the film's official trailer, which is always a positive in my book. The film was directed by Stuart Spark, who also co-wrote the script with fellow collaborator Paul Butler. It also stars Lindsay Crane, Michaela Longden, Daniel Thrace, and Aaron Dennis. You can order your copy today by following the link below, and thanks to Ryan Danhauser. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenhour on March 4th, 2019. Nightbreed 35mm print screening with Nicholas Vince announced. UK fans of Nightbreed and star Nicholas Berman-Vince will be happy to know that he'll be attending the 35mm screening of the theatrical cut of Clive Barker's Nightbreed at the Shelley Theatre on Saturday, May 11th. There will also be a Q&A session afterwards, along with Mr. Vince signing merchandise for fans as well. I had the pleasure of meeting Nicholas Vince at Texas Frightmare Weekend 2018, and he was a real gentleman. I'm sure he'll have a lot of interesting stories to tell about making the movie and working with Clive Barker. The event is being sponsored by Dirt in the Gates movie as part of the BEAF, Bournemouth and Emerging Arts Fringe, who specialize in bringing genre movies to the big screen. The showing will start at 7:30, and you can pre-order your tickets by following the link below. Thanks to Clive Barker Revelations Facebook and Dirt in the Gate movies. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenauer on March 11th, 2019. Peter Atkins News. Author and screenwriter Peter Atkins let it slip on his Twitter account that his ghost story collection, Rumors of the Marvelous, will be releasing an audiobook in the coming months. The book contains some wonderful short stories and Atkins' best work, in my opinion. I personally recommend King of Outer Space and Between the Cold Moon of the Earth. Both capture a unique spin on the classic love story premise. The other stories included in the collection are Stacy and Her Idiot, Between the Cold Moon of the Earth, King of Outer Space, Dr. Arcadia, Intricate Green Figurines, The Cubist's Attorney, Prisoners of the Inferno, The Girl of the Blue Volcano, The Show Must Go On, The Mystery, Aviatrix, The Last of the Invisible Kings, Dancing Like We're Dumb, Grumpy Little Beat Girl. We'll let you know when the audiobook gets an official release date, but in the meantime, make sure to follow Peter's Twitter account, which is at LimeyBastard55. Source is Peter Atkins. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenauer on March 14th, 2019. In a new interview with Dark Side Magazine, Rawhead Rex director George Pavlou revealed that a reboot of the film might be on the way. I haven't read it, but apparently that's all he says on the matter. Most of the conversation focused on the film itself. While I'm all for a new adaptation, I'm not going to get excited about any of this just yet. There doesn't seem to be a grand plan in the works, judging by his lack of comments. We'll just have to wait and see. Over the years, the movie has gathered a solid cult following, but I think it has never lived up to Clive Barker's original story. If a new version is made, hopefully the filmmaker will capture the right direction and tone that made Barker's short story so appealing. Speaking of which, maybe it would be wise to reach out to Clive so he can be a part of this as well. It can only benefit the film and have him involved. To read the whole interview, follow the link to Darkside Magazine's official site, where you can order a print-out digital copy of number 199 today. Sources Bloody Disgusting and Darkside Magazine. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenauer, March 16, 2019. Clive Barker original sketches now on sale. For fans of Clive Barker's artwork, you'll be happy to know that he's chosen a selection of 21 pieces to be sold through the Clive Barker Archive. The press release states that these studio sketches offer a direct insight into Clive's development of characters for Aberrat, Deep Hill, and other projects. He'll also be signing them, and they'll come with a certificate of provenance. As of this writing, 5 of the sketches have already been sold, so if you're a big fan of his art and would like to add more to your collection, then follow the link to the archive store. It's good to finally see his artwork being made available again so fans can buy it. Maybe this means the archive will start selling more pieces in the future. We can only hope. Updated. Podcast contributor Marcus Williams has informed us that the archive is also selling deluxe prints of the painting Kiss Me that are also signed by Clive. Supplies are limited, so make sure to get your order in ASAP. Sources Marcus Williams and the Clive Barker Archive. This blog post was written by Ryan Danhauser on March 18, 2019. Do you love Sam Shearon, Mr. Sam's artwork, as much as we do? You might remember him from his amazing Hellraiser comic art and the Books of Blood motion comics as well. If you want to support his amazing work and get access to his prints, check out his Patreon. We're betting you'll love his art style like we do. The Patreon address is patreon.com/Mr. Sam Shearon, all one word. MisterSamShearon. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenhour on March 23, 2019. Next Testament Omnibus coming in August. For fans of Clive Barker's Next Testament, Boom Studios is releasing a softcover omnibus edition on August 28, 2019. The series ran for 12 issues and was written by Clive Barker and Mark Millar of Hellraiser Bestiary, with artist Jaime Yang, Hellraiser The Road Below, providing the wonderful artwork that did an amazing job of bringing the story to life. For newcomers not familiar with the Next Testament, it's about a return of an old god named Wick, who has big changes in store for the world. Sadly, most of them don't benefit mankind. I really enjoyed the series, and especially the character Wick. I think he's one of Clive's more interesting creations. I love how he looked like a walking painting come to life. The book will cost $29.99 and will be 304 pages. Sources were Clive Barker Revelations Facebook and Boom Studios. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenhour on March 25, 2019. Is Tony Todd still in the running to play Candyman? Last month we reported that actor Yahya Abdul-Mateen II was set to play the new Candyman in the upcoming spiritual sequel to the original film. The news was upsetting to a lot of fans that wanted to see original star Tony Todd return to the role that made him famous. It's also hard for me to imagine another actor uttering the line, "Be my victim." But now the director, Nia DaCosta, has gone on record with the film website Collider stating that earlier reports about Tony Todd being replaced might have been misleading. The quote says, "Well, it's been slightly misreported," DaCosta tells Collider. "I can't say what's happening in the film because we want it to be a surprise, but he's not replacing Tony Todd. That's been reported, and I was just like, I don't know what to say about this. This is not right." It sounds like writers Jordan Peele, who's also producing, and Win Rosenfeld have come up with something clever for the new movie that they don't want it to leak out. Whatever it may be, let's hope that it involves Todd being in the movie somehow. It wouldn't be the same without him. The new movie story will return to the mean streets of Cabrini Green and follow an art dealer that has become obsessed with the Candyman legend. The new Candyman is set for release by MGM on June 20th, 2020. Sources are Collider, Bloody Disgusting, and Danny Stewart. This blog post was written by Rob Ridenhour on March 27th, 2019. Doug Bradley joins 80s horror documentary. We've learned that Hellraiser star and Pinhead himself, Doug Bradley, has joined the cast of In Search of Darkness, a new documentary that pays homage to the glorious 80s horror movie craze. The filmmakers promise that this will be the most definitive story told about the most popular era in horror movie history. Other horror icons being interviewed are John Carpenter, Heather Langenkamp, Joe Dante, Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, Keith David, Greg Nicotero, Bill Moseley, Caroline Williams, Kane Hodder, Sean S. Cunningham, and Tom Holland. The filmmakers have set up an Indiegogo page where fans can get cool perks that are only exclusive to this release. The page closes on March 31st, and most importantly, fans need to get their orders in quickly because the film is only being offered by back-to-backers. So if you're interested, follow the link below to get your copy before time runs out. Most of my favorite horror films are from the 80s. It was a time when filmmakers were telling more unique and original stories that were so much more fun than what's being made today. Sources, 80s Horror Doc, and Danny Stewart. This blog post was written by Ryan Danhauser on April 8th, 2019. Clive Barker Art at HorrorCon UK. Are you going to HorrorCon UK? If you plan to attend or are on the fence, you will be able to view and purchase a ton of Clive Barker art from the collector Russell Charrington. We love the poster for this event and are jealous of those of you that can go. Report back. Details below. In the press release provided by Russell Charrington. Clive Barker, The Art of Horror, HorrorCon UK, 11th and 12th of May, Magma Sheffield. Clive Barker is the creator of Hellraiser, Nightbreed, Lord of Illusions, Book of Blood, Dread, and Midnight Meat Train. His books have sold millions of copies from Weaveworld to Aberrat. He has created worlds of the horrific and fantastic. The art on display is from every stage of his career and is all for sale. There are concept drawings for characters and works from all films and novels. You'll be able to see drawings from Books of Blood, Weaveworld, and Aberrat, designs for Nightbreed and Hellraiser including early Pinhead art. There will be signed film posters and prints by Clive Barker along with mega limited Nightbreed the Cabal cut posters. Memorabilia and original props from Nightbreed are all from the collection of Russell Charrington, Restoration Director. This blog post was written by Ryan Danhauser on April 29, 2019. Auction from the Clive Barker Archive. Back in April 2017, Phil and Sarah Stokes from the Clive Barker Archive teased us with hints of new projects and new art and notes brought over from Clive Barker's collection. Now they're tempting fans with an art auction. The auction began Saturday, April 27th, 2019, and ends at midnight on May 11th, 2019, noon Pacific Time. Get bidding on some sketches and paintings and tell us all about what you got. The quote from Phil and Sarah Stokes says, just a quick update post. The archive is hosting an online auction, 18 pieces of original art, each one personally selected by Clive directly from his studio space. Each piece is named and signed by Clive. I'm particularly liking the title and Lost Fish. This blog post was written by Ryan Danhauser on April 29, 2019. The Dark Art of Clive Barker lecture and discussion. Edit coming soon. Edit. Don't forget this talk by friend of the show, Dr. Sorcha Fhlainn, about Clive Barker is coming up May 9th, just 10 days away. Here's a link to our chat with her as we talked about Cold Heart Canyon and also our interview about the collection of essays she edited, Clive Barker Dark Imaginer. Friend of the show and senior lecturer in film studies and American studies, Dr. Sorcha Fhlainn, will be giving a lecture titled Hellbound Hearts, the Dark Art of Clive Barker in London for the Miskatonic Institute of Horror Studies in the Horse Hospital. It is scheduled for May 9th, 2019, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. Admission in advance is £10. Pre-order tickets here and tell Dr. Sorcha the Barker Cast sent you. Listeners to our podcast will remember her in our episode 202, Dark Imaginer with Dr. Sorcha Fhlainn, and she will also be joining us in next week's discussion on Clive's 2001 novel, Cold Heart Canyon. Why do they never have cool things like this in Fairbanks, Alaska? Thanks for listening to the Clive Barker podcast, Breaking News from the Reef. Do you have any news or promotions that might be a good fit? You can reach us at www.clivebarkercast.com or email us or contact us on social media. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com, where we have news, features, reviews, and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and every other place you can find podcasts. Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial, podcast, and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.